Welcome to my channel Heart Meets Spirit. This channel is intended to support you improving and changing your life. Live a life of love, trust and confidence. Enjoy.
What an amazing time, because you don't have to be a Buddhist monk, and you don't have to be a nun in reverie, or you don't have to be an academic or a scholar, and you don't have to meditate for 40 years. In fact, sometimes it's better that you don't have any of that, because you're a clean slate. And in our brain scans, in all of our research, the people who are innocent and who just follow the formula, they follow the instructions without doing things the way they've been doing it, are the ones that have the most transcendental experiences. And the only way that we experience that oneness and that wholeness is to get beyond the self. It is that transcendental moment where you're so caught up with whatever you're doing, or you're giving to somebody else, or you're taking your attention off and serving because you're becoming selfless. It's that act of getting beyond yourself, I believe, that causes you to be connected to something greater. And there's varying degrees of that, and you get better at doing it. And I think that when people really get beyond themselves and they begin to connect to that invisible field, that's when they no longer want things for themselves. I mean, the illusion is the sports car and the new wardrobe and the vacation home and all that. That's the illusion. But really what people want is community. What they want is wholeness. They want joy. And when you begin to realize that you don't need something outside of you to create wholeness, that actually you can work on doing that, it is a formula. And once you know the formula and you practice the formula, you don't have to have 40 years of meditation experience to do it. All you have to do is practice the formula. And by practicing the formula, because of technology, because of the age that we're living in where consciousness is changing, because people are doing the uncommon in all walks of life right now, that we've pierced a veil. We've, like the 4-minute mile, there's been a break in that consciousness. And now people believe, number one, it's possible. And they just want to practice how to do it better. They want to be in community with people that get them, totally understand them, that share the same principles, the same values, the same beliefs, and they want to advance their understandings. And those are all perfect ingredients then to have an emerging community that's going to get better at what they do. And that's the beauty behind why you and I are doing all of this, because the next thing that is the most important is evidence. Not just all the research that you and I have done, that's dinner conversation. But when you have somebody stand up on stage who has a skin condition for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, or has problems with vision, or has a cancer, and they tell their story, this is an important part to the community, because the story is the allegory that's going to help other people out, no matter what it is. And the story isn't glamorous. There's some hard bumps that they take. They've lost everything. They lost loved ones. They were bankrupt. They lost their home. They lost everything. They don't look like a movie star. They don't look young. They don't look buffed. They don't look like they're in shape. They don't look different than anybody else. And they go through the story in a very specific detail of what they've done to make those changes. There's not a person in the room that is looking away. This is evidence. And now you have it in the quantum field. It's in consciousness. There's a footprint in consciousness, and more people are leaving footprints, and more people are stepping into those. But secondly, when they see the testimonial and they go, wow, that person doesn't look any different than me. If they could do it, I can do it too. So you see someone with a rare genetic disorder. This is the power of community. You see someone with a rare genetic disorder. It took them 2.5 years. The doctors told her, you'd have this condition the rest of your life. She never missed a day of doing the inner work. She understood what she had to do. She had a rough childhood. She went through the whole thing. 2.5 years to turn the battleship around. Stood on the stage, tells the story. The person in the audience with the same rare genetic disorder, same one, listening to this story says, well, that's evidence, and she doesn't look any different than me. She did it in 3 months. Now, That's because there's evidence in the 3D world that creates community, that says this community says it's possible. I have the support, I have the love, I have the encouragement, I have the cooperation, nobody's competing. I have the opportunities to connect numerous times. I have the opportunities to overcome myself. I have breaks where I can hang out and make new friends. Some people understand me and get me. That's not the same as the community that I live in every day. And then the evidence then becomes the new foundation for what's possible for somebody else. And that's what feeds back into the community. That's an emerging consciousness that it's no longer theoretical or philosophical. I mean, nobody wants that. When you and I have been at this for a long enough time to know that when philosophy and theory was what everybody talked about, but nobody really got into the how-to or to what to do. And so now everybody wants the experience, and that's beautiful because everybody knows the information already. They just want to know how to do it. So you get an emerging community of people where the evidence is in the scans, in the measurements and the objective findings. Then you have the physical evidence of the person who's actually saying, look, here's my scan, here's my doctors told me, here's a scan. We had a guy with 50 brain tumors that came to this event. 50 in his brain, 6 in his brainstem, and about 6 or 7 in his lungs. He was pronounced dead 3 times. They told him he would never live. Okay? He brought his scans, worked every day. All 49 out of 50 tumors in his brain are gone, all gone in his brainstem, all gone in his heart and lungs. Nobody had believed in him, not even the doctors. And one tumor left, and it's a small little benign tumor. It's not even malignant. Now, you watch this guy tell the story, and you're looking out in the audience. You think the person in the audience is feeling fear? Or do you think the person's feeling love and oxytocin, and that's naturally going to cause everybody to want to commune and bond a little bit more? And that then speaks to them, speaks possibility to them. And that's important because that's not in the news. That's not on pharmaceutical commercials.
For sure.
That's not anywhere. The evidence has to come in small community, and your community and other communities and everybody's communities rising above all of that for information. So new communities are being formed with a new consciousness, and that new consciousness now that's based in evidence, not only scientific evidence, but evidence in the three-dimensional world. And then that evidence, there's a footprint in the quantum field in consciousness for other people to be able, it's a frequency that other people can tap into. And so then more and more people begin to do this, and the community feeds back on itself. You have a human being that looks like a human being, but they're all of a sudden, different in the way they heal, in the way they heal others, in the way they create reality, in the way that synchronicities and coincidences and opportunities and mystical experiences start happening to them. And all of a sudden, the mystery of the self and who we are, really not this three-dimensional person or identity that we think we are, but the bigger self that we begin to connect to, changes our values. And then all of a sudden we start to see the hidden meaning behind all things. We start to see the agendas behind all things. We're less seduced by the outer world, and because we feel more whole, before we feel more love, we feel like we've contributed or healed somebody. The people that do the healing, as you know, we see this in our work, the people who administer the healing, they have renal hypertension and glomerular filtration problems. The next day after the event, they go back to their doctors. Their kidneys are functioning normally. They're just a conduit for a frequency through their nervous system that allows them to be healed. And that's a community, a living organism that's doing what a living organism should be doing, and that's taking care of one another so that the organism thrives, period.